Well, hello everyone. It's been a little while since I've done any videos, so I thought it's about time I posted one up. So what you see here before you is a Pye color TV. The model is CT102. As far as I'm aware, these were designed and manufactured here in New Zealand. I believe the circuitry was our own concoction or creation or abortion, however you want to call it. We'll get into that later. Yeah, I don't think they were. I don't think we copied any English design or an Australian set, unlike the Philips K9s and some of the early black and white Philips TVs too. They were a direct copy of an English or a Danish design. Yeah, I mean, if somebody's watching that may have serviced these TVs in the past or may know a little bit of history on them, do let me know in the comments. But I'm pretty certain these were pretty much a New Zealand, basically homegrown design. So yeah. So these TVs were manufactured in Waihi, near Pyro in the North Island. Um, there were other models. There was a CT101, the CT102, which is this one here. There was also a CT103 and a CT104. Now I've got the CT103 and the 104 also in my collection. Not quite sure how many of these were made. Probably several hundreds of thousands. They came. I know the CT101 that came from memory. That was an 18-inch. I think there was an 18-inch and a 22-inch version of that. Whereas the 102, this came out as a 22 and a 26. So you had the two tube sizes, either on legs, like this one here, or a console, basically floor standing, or some of them had quite a big fancy cabinet with I think opening doors or sliding doors. So yeah. So I'll just go a bit closer. You can have a look at the controls. It's all pretty much self-explanatory, really. As you can see here, just excuse the lighting. It is about 10:30 at night here, because I've turned the light away. It goes a bit dark, but we can sort of put some light on it. So it's a fairly nice looking cabinet, I guess. It's not too garish like some of them. So you've got color, brightness, volume. And you've got your rotary channel change there, power, auto tune, that basically AFT, and then your tone control. There's meant to be up here. There's actually meant to be a red and a blue little light diffuser thing, and what's quite cool basically is because these sets would have came out about these sets would have came out around 1970. I think the early ones maybe 1970. I think the 101s I think might be 1973, 74, and of course 74 was when we got color here. But there's actually a bulb behind that. So basically when there's a color signal applied, the bulb actually lights up that little wee red, green, and blue thing, which I think is quite cool. I'll actually show you that too. I'll actually show you that when I get the setup, when I show the set running. Yeah. So not really much more I can really say about it in this respect. There was also a model I think called the Nautilus, which came out in a white cabinet and had like a tulip stand, and it was all white. And I did have one of those, but it didn't. I did have one of those for a brief time, but it kind of ended up in my care because somebody gave it to me to actually fix, and I never got around to fixing it, and then it ended up getting donated to the Te Papa Museum. And the ironic thing about that one is that the fact that a friend of mine who used to service these, he recalls overhauling one some years ago, and he sold it to some bloke about 15 years ago. But before I donated the set, I happened to take the back off it, and it ended up being the same TV that my friend overhauled. So that was a bit of a bit of an odd, rather strange coincidence. So yeah, I actually thought that was quite hard case. Yeah, so that's pretty much a bit of intro on the old Pye CT102. So what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to grab the service manual. You can skip past this part if it's going to be rather boring. So no problems in doing that. I'll actually just push this back a wee bit actually, and I'll just do it down here. So I've actually got some light. I don't quite know whether the fluoros are going to interfere with it all, but here is the service manual, and I'll tell you what, they're actually it's actually quite a nice laid out manual. Actually, it's every single part of the set is basically it's all split up. So you've got control panel, sound and vision IF, power supply, horizontal time base, vertical time base, convergence time base, and all that sort of thing. I might just move further forward here. Let me look here, but that is, yeah, you talk about, these are all the, sorry about that. These are all the many service bulletins. Basically, there's heaps and heaps and heaps of them. So, yeah, lots and lots of service bulletins, as you can see. We'll just skip through those. There's another one from 1980. I was only 5 years old then. A couple there from 1982. There's a bit of CT103 stuff there as well. Control panel. This might be for the CT. Okay, so this is for the CT101. Yeah, I've actually got several of these manuals, and they're all in various states. Some actually even had a remote control as well, which I've never actually seen. There you go. There's a remote control receiver for the later CT102. I'll just actually turn that away. Hopefully you should still be able to see all that. Excuse the light, but yeah. So that's for that there. Control transmitter. So pretty much you had the had like the circuit descriptions there, explaining everything worked, and then all so the CT101 and CT101 and 102 are actually very close in design. The 102 had a few improvements, and there was also a 102. I think there was a Mark 1 and a Mark 2, or there's a later series. This one here is actually one of the later ones. It's one of the later 102s. There are a number of modifications these sets needed over their lives. You had really good ones and really shit ones. Yeah, the quality of these things was pretty hit and miss. But I'll get into that later. So yeah, here's showing the vision and sound IF circuit layout. These did incorporate chips. Again, nicely laid out circuit, all the voltages and waveforms and test points on the actual circuit, which is really good. So I'll give Pye top marks for their circuit, their service and circuit diagram layouts, and the board has all the various components and adjustments and things, and what goes where and what signals go in and out and all that sort of thing. We've just looked at it, I think. There's no pre-rehearsing here. Pretty much, this is all just done ad hoc. This is the 102. I think the first one might have been the 101 actually, but said if it gets boring, just skip through this bit. I don't mind at all actually. Okay, that's the Mark II one. I think there are some slight differences. I think from memory, but yeah, it's the Mark II, which is CT102 Mark II, which is pretty much what this thing here is. You've got here video and chroma. Again, you've got all the circuit description there. And then you're describing how everything works, all your circuit descriptions again, and so forth. Your power balance, and then there's your grayscale tracking, setup procedure, whiteboard setting, adjustment of the BY ratio control, all that sort of stuff. Parts list there, and the board layout. As you can see, all the various fault symptoms and what components cause the problems, all written all over the circuits. This is pretty common, actually. This is a pretty common thing to see on these. I know a lot of people hated these TVs. A lot of techs didn't like them. Some techs love them. Yeah, it's the print layout, showing what everything does. It's quite nice. Again, nice. All the voltages around all the transistors, all the waveforms and test points, and yeah, it's really good. Power supply. Yeah, these. People love the power supplies in these because they had a tendency to go bang if you had any whoopsies with them. And there were two versions as well. I think this, yeah. So there's an early version, which is this one here, using transistors and semiconductors. These power supplies weren't that stable. All you had to do was breathe in them, and then basically they'd go bang. And as you can see, all the notes, all the written notes, and what parts fail and everything. Yeah, basically pretty much speaks for itself. That's the layout for the board there anyway. So that's that one there. Now this might be, is this the later one or not? Just have a look here, see if this is the later one or not. Oh, that's the mains. That's the mains filter board with the PTC. 50 gauge in the tube. Here we go. CT102 power supply Mark II. So this is the power supply that is in said set sitting on the bench, on the workbench. And as you can see, they have incorporated a chip which does most of the switch mode operation. And yeah, these power supplies were still fairly unreliable, but as you can see, the lack of notes and things that go wrong, and all the other fault conditions, the Mark II power supply was a hell of a lot more reliable than the Mark I power supply, and far less components too. Although these did have their fair share of faults as well. One of the common faults with these is, now where is it? There's a couple of electrolytics. I think which supply there, the 140 volt supply there. 100 mic 315 will go open circuit. Will leak. Yeah, there were other 1000 mic at 25 would crap out as well. Basically, there was a number of issues. That cap there would go open circuit too as well, and would cause all sorts of weird and wonderful effects. Basically poor power supply regulation, and all that sort of thing used to make things go bang. So yeah, they weren't liked, these things. horizontal time base. Like, again, if you can skip this bit, I'm almost 15 minutes into the video, so I'm going to try and keep this as well. I don't want to go too long, but I also don't want to make it too short either. So this is the horizontal time base. Now I think this is for this. I think this is for the early. This is for the CT101 or the early CT102. And basically it uses a lopty and a tripler. Uses a chip for all the chip for the horizontal side of things. And again, a few written notes and faults and things around the circuit as well. So yeah, sort of fairly conventional. And there's the printed circuit board trace as well. Here we go, CT102. I think this is the one we actually need. Yeah, this is more like it. Yeah, this is pretty much what's in the set on the bench, but mine's a slightly later one again. It must have been the very last, because there are some circuit differences which don't line up with this one. So, but basically the layout and everything is essentially the same. So yeah, that's the circuit diagram there. Again, with the various TR-85, basically the short gives east-west error, no with the control. TR-84 also suspect. Apparently that. And a lot of notes, and a lot of the Tisco notes that I've got, that seems to be quite a common problem. TR-84 and 805. Usual things, caps, triplers would go. Yeah, these caps would go open circuit, diodes crapping out. Tuning caps would crap out. All the usual sort of things. And these sets actually ran. These things actually ran pretty hot too as well. They ran quite hot as well. And vertical time base. I'm pretty certain the 102 one's here. Yes, it is. Okay, I'm actually now discovering that this service manual is actually the most complete. Things aren't all mucked up and all over the bloody show. So there's your vertical time base there, and the board, and once again notes and bits and pieces. So yep. Convergence and CRT base. Now again, depending on what tube was used, and again they went through various tube, various inclinations, versions and things like that. Let's see if I can get to the 102. Here's all your convergence adjustments. There's all your measurements for all your inductors and chokes and things. There you are, detector coils, all your convergence coils, and all the pin cushion correction and all that. So it's quite good, because you know, if you suspect something's open, you can go and measure them all and get readings, so you actually know what's going on, and you can actually fault find quite easily. Again, just more circuit information and stuff like that. Yep, this one here actually looks like mine here. That very much looks like the yoke that's on mine. So yeah, that looks all looks fairly standard. And once again, just all the convergence adjustments. And I have not touched the convergence in this at all. I don't intend to, because it's pretty much all okay. There's one spot where it's slightly out, but I'm not touching it. I do not want to disturb it. It'd be like opening a can of bloody worms, basically. And in the back here, we've got convergence panels. Now again, there were two versions of this as well. Some had a board up the top, and some had a board on top of the yoke. Yeah, so This one here is an early one, different tube neck base, and it had a separate board basically that sat at the top of the cabinet in the middle. Okay, so there we go, CT101. So hopefully, here we are, we've got 102 here. As you can see, the 102 is actually very similar. Got the separate convergence board and all the associated circuitry and all that sort of thing. Now, am I going to get lucky? Here we are, CT102. I think this is pretty much mine. Yep, this is pretty much mine here. So, I've got a later tube base with switches, and that's pretty much the convergence board that's on the back of mine and all the associated circuitry. So, and what's this? Looks like something. Okay, just another one of those again. Another one, just one of those other ones that have been shoved in there. But yeah, so enough of my waffling. Right, and yeah, I mean this is pretty much the sort of thing you see. A well-used bit of paper with a photocopy diagram and notes written all over it. That's that early bastard power supply that would blow up. That's the chroma video and chroma board. As you can see, all the all the issues that it had, all the issues that they had. What's that one? That's the vertical time base. And another one of the bastard power supplies. I think here, somewhere in here, I think there's a horizontal time base with 50 million things. Here we are. So we never get a time base, never get a horizontal time base with all the problems that they had. And I'm sure any retired New Zealand TV techs watching this video will go, "Oh, I remember that. Oh, yes, I remember that. I remember this," and probably having a chuckle to themselves or cringe. Depends on whether you enjoyed fixing these damn things or not. Yeah, so oh, there we go. VCR mod short, pins 10 and 11 on TBA 920 for VCR. I've actually got to do that to this one because it needs it. Okay, I think that's enough waffling from me. I am now going to temporarily pause the video and I will spin this set around and you can have a look on the inside. And the bit you've all been waiting for. Ta-da! Here it is. In all its glory. It's green circuit board glory. All I can say about this one is actually it's had use, but boy, oh boy, compared to the ones I used to fix in the 1990s, yeah, this set's actually quite low hour in comparison to some of the ones that I used to see in the field. In fact, when I took the back off this, I actually don't think it had actually even been worked on because the power supply had never been out, and there was no soldering done on the time base board, and it was and the damn thing worked. It actually worked. It did have a couple little issues when it warmed up, but I can't remember what they were. It was I've had this thing for probably about 15 years. Yeah, but amazing. This one is a true survivor because I don't think there'll be many of these left actually running nowadays. But yeah, so that's pretty much when you open the back is what you actually see. So now we'll go in a bit closer and we'll look at the print side of the board. So moving over here, this is the video chroma board. I have soldered a few suspect joints. In fact, I actually need to go over the video output transistors too. Actually, I haven't quite finished the set. I've still got to do a couple more things to it, but I decided that now will be a good time to do a video on it. So moving over here, I'll just move that away a wee bit. I noticed the light was causing the camera to go a bit funny there. It looked like it was almost too bright for it. Obviously the white balance was overcompensating or undercompensating. So yeah, this is the horizontal board. Now, what happens with these is that they normally burn up here. They normally all burn, and they run the lofty and all that. You always usually burn marks and scorch marks and holes burnt in the board, things like that. So yeah, I'm sure that anybody who fixes these things would agree this one's in pretty good condition for its age. So yeah, right. Well, now we'll go, and that's the tube neck board, and behind it is that's the convergence board, and then behind there is the yoke. All right, just give us a couple of seconds now. We'll open this up. We'll open up the juicy side first. Actually, I might actually unplug that so I can swing the board out a bit more. Here we go. And here we are. This is pretty much the component side of the board. Yeah, access. Yeah, access okay-ish. But getting up in there to change components was always a bit of a pain in the backside, as you can see. But I mean, yeah, not I'm sure there were probably far worse sets than these around at the time. Well, the bells are pretty crap, but yeah, and some of the thorns weren't that great. But these were okay. I mean, you either love them or hate them. Yeah. I have actually gone through and replaced a number of electrolytics, them being those blue Elna caps, which like to fail in the audio equipment that I service and overhaul. So I thought, well, might as well. So it's had a bit of a recap in a few places just to keep the damn thing bloody reliable. That was another cap too that would leak. I think from memory causes the picture to bloom, or it would definitely upset things. Basically, the set wouldn't work properly, or the picture would bloom or would flare. I think something along. I mean, I'm just trying to go back into my memory banks, but definitely that cap going leaky would cause all sorts of weird things, EHT regulation problems and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't believe the lofties are actually pretty good in these. Actually, I mean, I'd never change one. I used to fix a few of these. So we'll move over to the other side now. So this is the video chroma board. There's your couple of chips up there for your chroma and luminance as well, and again, I've changed a few electrodes around there, but I left the Vision and IF board alone. All seems to be working okay, so I thought we'd best leave that alone. And up in here is where all the controls live and the tuner. And there's a quality Plessy 8-ohm speaker sitting down in there. Yeah, you can see there you go. There's the Plessy symbol on the side of the speaker frame. I don't know if the tuners gave much grief in these. They probably did. But no, the tuner on this is actually pretty good. All the wafers seem clean. It's pretty stable. Holds its tune okay and everything. Now the tube in here is a Toshiba. Hang on, sorry about this, guys. It is a Toshiba. Get out of the way. This stupid cable. It's a Toshiba. Sorry about this. This is not pre-rehearsed, by the way. Bugger it. Here we are. A 560 AC B22. The tubes in these were not their strongest point. You had, like, again, you had good ones and really bad ones. Some had good pitches and some had absolute shit pitches. But yeah, no, I think they drove the tubes fairly hard on these as well, so that, you know, that probably didn't make them, you know, last as long as Philips K9. But now the power supply. I'm actually going to pull this out because I can. Look at the power supply. Really easy. Unplug that, unplug that, unplug that, and the whole thing just slides out. Just like that. So, there's your power supply in all its glory. And it's one of the later ones, having the chip to do all the switch mode functions and all that sort of thing. Yeah, and these are the problematic caps that cause problems. That 1000 mica left it in there, it tested perfectly, but yeah, these two high voltage caps on the for the B plus regulation. Side of the board, as you can see, normally these things are always cooked, you know, they're always discolored or burnt, you know. But I mean, there were a few joints on here I soldered up, but on the whole, yeah, pretty damn good, really. As a comparison, this is generally what we used to get. Pretty much something like this, all soldered up. I think the early 102 boards, I think were red. I think the actual lacquer was red. Later ones seem to be green. So yeah, I have got quite a number of boards for these, for this TV. So I've got enough spare parts to keep this thing going pretty much forever. So, you know, there's no problem in keeping this thing going. But you know, that's just generally what you saw. And now I grabbed a real crusty, and again, here is the horizontal output board. This is what you normally saw. This sort of arrangement, all baked, few components tacked on here and there, hot spots, you know, burn marks in the board, and yeah, this is generally what the sort of thing you used to see. Baked circuit board, 1970s, 1980s. Technicians in a hurry, botch repairs. Yeah, there's that 0.1 cap, pretty much in its life. One of those horrible bloody tuning caps, the ones that always go open. So yeah, this was pretty much the bulk standard you used to see, basically like that. So yeah, real quality at its best. So excuse me for a second, I'm just going to have a good cough. Excuse me. I actually swallowed a moth just before. So, yeah, I sort of felt the moth go down my throat as I swallowed, so I just had to sort of cough and clear my throat a wee bit. So sorry about that. What's over here? Oh, I found another. Yeah, there's another circuit with all the problems that they had. So there's another one for you. But yeah, so this is pretty much a look at the Pye CT102 in all its glory. It's as I said, a nice original unmolested example. A low hour set because it's got a really good tube in it as well. Actually, I'll pull. Actually, I haven't taken this off, have I? Yeah, it's the that was an interesting noise. Yeah, that's the tube neck board. And, there's all your put that back on. So even the tube socket pins weren't actually dry jointed. Well, there were a couple there, but never been touched with soldering iron. So amazing, really, in some ways. All right, let's slide this board in, and we will put a signal on it, and you can watch this, and then we'll put a signal on this thing, and you can actually see it in operation. Exciting, exciting, exciting. Put all that back in. I actually remember. I remember a friend of mine, actually, back in the I don't know when I was back in the 80s or 90s, basically, a friend of a friend was trying to fix one of these, and he kept having problems with the power supplies, and he finally got a power supply working, and he pulled it out, and he goes, I love your power supply, and the cap was still charged, and he basically dropped it and hit the floor, and it basically broke in two. So the stupid bugger was a bit peeved off actually by that. Yeah. So I'm gonna plug that in, otherwise I'll get no picture. There'll be no blooming no screen volts to drive the tube. That would be fun. Right. Give me a couple of seconds. I will briefly pause the video, and I'll plug in an RF cable, and yeah, and I'll show you this thing running. Right, just temporarily stop those from going because it was causing a whole lot of light issues in here. But here we go. As you can see, plenty of brightness. Lots of, look at that. It's pretty damn good, really. All things considered. You'll have to excuse the artifacts on the screen, but yeah, for one of these, it's actually pretty damn good, really. Pretty damn good. I've sort of got the brightness at about just under half there, and that's that's plenty of brilliance. So yeah, got the contrast control at the back here as well. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it kind of goes without saying. Actually, it's given a pretty good image, bit of sound. So I can't do any of that because it'll get flagged for copyright, and then they'll probably block the video or do whatever they do. I have noticed the yoke's on a slight angle. I have noticed that. I'm not even going to worry about that. There is a slight bit of horizontal linearity issues towards that side. I'm not going to worry about it. It's a 45, probably 46-year-old TV. It's coming up to what, just about half a century old. You got to give it some credit. The fact it's lasted this bloody long. But yeah, no, it's definitely sit down and hook up a video to it and watch TV. No problems there at all. I'm just actually trying to think what issues I did have with this. There was a beam limiting fault with it actually too. It ended up being a transistor. Actually was going a bit funny when I first put it on the bench. Had it running for a good half an hour, and then all of a sudden the picture just went like that. It was like, okay. So I turned the basically that was pretty much full brightness, And I'm thinking, what's going on here? And there are a couple of screen resistors which supply the I think it's 300 or 400 volts to the tube, and for the grids, and there's a couple of resistors which go higher, which can cause the picture to go low brightness, but it wasn't those. It ended up being actually, I can probably tell you what it was. Actually, just grab one of these circuits. Hang on, I can actually show you what it was. Where are we? Where's the chroma circuit gone? There's one here. This power supply. There's one here which actually did show. Where was it? No. Where are we? It's just showing time base. Sorry about this. It's all just time base, vertical time base, convergence panel. No, that's not what I want. Back in a sec. Right, found the circuit in question. So, what it ended up being the brightness limiter transistor. Which was doing some weird and wonderful things. You'd spray it with freeze, and you'd spray it with freeze, and it would come up like that, and you heat it up with the iron, and it would just go right down again. So that transistor was actually leaky. I also changed the pot that transistor was leaky. I also changed the pot as well, just to be on the safe side. Yeah, so it was pretty much that. It ran, but it ran. I mean, it was working, but the regulation was a wee bit poor, and I noticed the power supply was, when you increase the brightness, the power supply was like really humming. It's like, okay, it's probably those caps, and ended up being the main filter cap. 100 mic 315 volt. That cap was basically that cap there was literally down to about 20 UF, and yeah, that was causing, it was just causing the poor thing just to really bad ripple. Obviously making the power supply work much harder than it should. And yeah, surprised the power supply didn't go bang, but it didn't. So I was there was a wee bit of variation there, but you can't really complain, all things considered. Yeah, so she might actually plug the hang on just 1 second. I'll plug the pattern generator in. My crappy video skills. Hello 101. This is not how you do professional videos. So yeah, that's pretty much dots, grayscale there, color bars as well. Yeah, so all that basically that's just so the auto tunes basically AFT. Hello, what's happening there? What's happening here? Maybe it's that channel there, is it? Yeah, there you go. Just basically AFT auto fine tune, pretty much. So yeah. So pretty much, I mean, it's far from perfect. It is far from perfect. It's definitely got its flaws, but for a 45-year-old TV, it's certainly doing pretty good. But yeah, so there you go. I'll actually put on an actual bit of content, and you can actually see it doing something rather than just a silly, and you can see it actually producing a picture rather than just a silly test pattern. Yeah, give us a second. I'll put some actual content on here. Oh, just quickly, here's all the bits and pieces I changed as well. So it's all the old transistors and capacitors in there. Few resistors as well, just changed. Oh, and the focus resistor too was also split open as well. 18 meg, so all cracked. So I changed that as well. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have to change these bits, but I mean, like for example, these 2EC458 transistors, which like to give issues in old 70s amplifiers. I thought, well, you know, they're probably going to give issues in the TV, so I changed them as well. So just changed a few bits and pieces there, just to basically to ensure the set stays reasonably reliable. And yeah, that was the cap that was open, basically. Yeah, amazing. Looked okay, but just open. So well down to like 10 UF. So yeah, you know, good old Matsushita. No, good old Rubicon cap, but you know, they don't last forever. Yeah, no, it's yeah, not much more I can say really about it, but yeah, I'll probably end up putting this one probably into regular use. I've got a whole lot of videotapes I've just been given, which I want to look through. So I'll make sure I'll do the video mode on it, and yeah, I'll basically use it and see how it goes. So right, so that's pretty much now going on to almost 50 minutes. I apologize if I made any mistakes, or the video was pointing at the roof, or things were shaking around. But yeah, I said I don't get a lot of time to pre-rehearse these videos. So hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, stay tuned for another video at some stage. I've no idea what's next. Knowing me, probably another old black and white TV. There is one I do want to get out and start on. It's a real oldie. It's quite a neat looking set too, and it's full of lovely wax capacitors. And that might be the next thing I'll start on. But when that'll be, who knows? But in the meantime, everybody, stay safe, keep well, and yeah, I'll catch you again some other time. Thanks for watching. Cheers.